Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Atari A to Z Flashback, an exploration of the games on Atari Flashback Classics for Nintendo Switch. So, today's game is Asteroids Deluxe, which is the sequel to Asteroids. It's quite similar to Asteroids in a lot of ways, but there's also a number of additions to the formula as well as some enhanced presentation as well that you can probably already see on the screen. So, first of all, we've got sort of glowing blue vector graphics rather than the white vector graphics of the original. We've also got a background, which was quite a popular approach with vector graphics once they became established in arcade games. Just gave a bit more visual interest to the games by sort of making things appear to be floating over a static background. And also mechanically there's a few little twists on the basic formula as well. So this came out a year after the original Asteroids. So let's take a look. Now the basic formula is identical to Asteroids. The actual handling is slightly different in a number of ways. So the response of your ship is a little bit more direct, a little bit more smooth, a little bit more snappy. The whole thing just moves a little bit faster as well. So you have to respond a little bit more quickly to what's happening on the screen. Oh dear. Which I'm failing to do so. And also we've got little subtle presentational elements as well, like the asteroids rotating. And over at the side of the screen there, we've got one of the new elements, which is a cluster of enemies that break apart when you shoot them, and which have just killed me. So this is an aspect where we can sort of see where a lot of later games have taken some clear inspiration from the original Asteroids games. So last time when we were looking at the first Asteroids game, I mentioned titles like Geometry Wars and how they drew inspiration from the vector graphics. But in the case of Asteroids Deluxe, that enemy that splits apart is sort of something that you see very frequently in more modern shoot-em-ups that make use of a similar presentational style. So, let's have a go. Let's see if we can do a bit better this time. As I said last time, I do kind of suck at Asteroids, but let's try and better myself. So the other addition that we got in this game as well is we've got a shield button as well as the hyperspace button, which, there we go. So rather than blasting yourself to a random location on screen, you can now just make yourself invincible for a moment, which is very useful. Because most of the threats in Asteroids come from things that are hurling themselves at you at high speed. Such as these enemies here. Now the shield does not destroy enemies, as you can see there. It just causes them to sort of bounce off you. So it's not a get out of jail free card by any means. It is just a means of getting you out of a dangerous situation and hopefully putting yourself in a better place to set yourself up for success. Right, doing better already. Already beat my high score. Can we score an extra life? That's the question. Now, as I say, you can't just hold down the shield button either, because if you hold it down, you'll see it gradually dims in brightness. So, eventually it will expire. It does recharge as well, but that just prevents you from just sort of sitting in the middle of the screen and spamming the shield until until you find yourself completely safe. That's a lovely sound, isn't it? That sounds right out of something like Defender or something like that. Right, let's have another go. I want to try and break 10,000 points. Now, as I said last time when I was covering the original Asteroids games, I didn't used to enjoy these all that much just because I found the control scheme a little bit difficult to deal with, but revisiting them now and playing these arcade versions with their lovely, smooth, responsive controls, particularly here in Deluxe, I'm actually getting a lot more out of this than I used to, so... Just a lesson for us all there. Oh! Yes, that's another interesting little twist on the formula you've got there. So, in the original game, you could shoot off the side of the screen and hit things using the screen wraparound. In this version, the enemies are capable of doing that as well. And they will deliberately do that in some cases, so... Yeah, watch out for that. So I'd never really looked into the differences between the original Asteroids and Asteroids Deluxe before, but obviously they've got a lot in common with one another, as you might expect, but this is actually a pretty decent sequel, in terms of an arcade game at least. I'm not sure if you'd necessarily consider it a good sequel in the context of like a home release, so like say if you bought the original Asteroids for your home console, and then you bought Asteroids Deluxe, I'm not sure there's sufficient differences there to warrant a separate release in that regard. But in the context of arcade games, it's certainly a nice evolution of the formula and works well. Like just those few little additions to what's going on in the game, they just add a lot to the strategy and the feel of it. They kind of change the pace of it. There's an overall very different, faster pace of the whole experience than there is in the original. So, not that the original was especially sedate by any means, especially when the flying saucers started turning up, but... Yeah, Asteroids Deluxe is just a little bit more frantic. And that's quite enjoyable once you get a feel for how it handles, how it controls, how you need to respond to threats. And we're doing quite a bit better now. I've got over my 10,000 points, which is nice. Run away. Run away. Oh no. No! That was unpleasant. Oh, they fly away after a while. Okay. So you don't have to clear out all the UFOs in order to complete a level. It is just the asteroids that you need to destroy. Oh, I made a real mess of that, didn't I? Anyway, there we go. That is Asteroids Deluxe. 1980 game from Atari in the arcades. I hope you enjoyed that. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.